At the time of recording, the Toronto Raptors have the worst record in the NBA, but I'm here to tell you why things for the team up north are actually pretty good right now. What's up, everybody? It's JJ Buckets. It's been a while. I've been in and out. I'm sorry. I'm here now. I'm happy to be back, and I'm ready to do this video. We're going to talk about a few key takeaways from the early parts of the season, and yeah, usual drill to start things off. Make sure you leave me a like. It helps the algorithm out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Plus, you know the drill. If you're doing any sports betting in the near futures, make sure to check out my link in the description below. Let's kick things off with the fact that this is the most ethical tank of all time. Now, that might be a little bit of an over exaggeration, but honestly, there's a lot of nights where that really does not feel like the case, right? Like, it doesn't feel like an exaggeration. It feels like the Raptors are tanking the right way. And it sounds weird, but what I mean by that is that not only are the Raptors collecting losses, putting themselves in the sweepstakes, you know, for a guy like Cooper Flagg, for a guy like Ace Bailey, Nolan Traore, Dylan Harper, whoever else you want to throw in there. On top of that, they actually night in and night out look like a team that's growing, getting better, and I'll focus on individual players in a couple of other takeaways here. But for the most part, like, you look at this team, it's a fun young team. It's a competitive team. Despite the fact that obviously their record is what it is, there have been a ton of close games. The most recent being, at the time of this recording, is an overtime loss to the defending NBA champions, where they took the Celtics to the wire, and it took a Jason Tatum game-winning three, like, to seal the deal. Like, come on, how can you not have fun watching a team like that, right? Like, there's plenty of encouraging signs about player development, about growth. The shitty part is obviously that you've had guys in and out of the lineup with injuries, but that has afforded you a chance to look at some of these other guys, right? Like the rookies, some of those guys have looked good. Jamal Shed, I think, has looked really impressive. Jonathan Mobo has a lot to like about him. His versatility and his defensive play, phenomenal. It's just fun watching this tank, right? Like, it's not often that you'll get a chance to watch a losing team and go, you know what? That wasn't so bad. That was actually an enjoyable viewing experience. The Raptors give you that almost on a nightly basis. Yes, there's times where they will get beat comfortably by the other team, but for the most part, you're getting a lot of close competitive matchups in which you can stay glued to your chair and absolutely locked in on the game and think to yourself, hey, this is a great viewing experience. And then when they walk away with the loss, you're just like, well, I wanted them to lose anyways because I want them to have a high pick in this year's draft. So as far as the way that they are tanking right now for the Raptors, it's an absolute chef's kiss. It is immaculate. This is, quite honestly, in my opinion, the best case scenario for how this season could be going, where you have players progressing, you have good signs of player development, you have ample playing opportunity for a lot of different guys, and on top of that, you're losing games and putting yourself in a high draft position in what's expected to be a really talented NBA draft. So hats off to the Raptors. They are killing it in that regard. Let's talk about the big dick energy that the Raptors have had all season. Now, of course, I'm talking about Grady, and I'm talking about how fantastic he has looked this year. Now, I think it obviously needs to be said there's still a lot of room for growth on the defensive end. Grady could sometimes be a bit of a pylon there, if I'm being quite honest. But offensively, holy hell, the things you are seeing from this guy night in and night out have got to be incredibly encouraging, right? Think about the fact that a year ago, you know, while he was spending time in the G League and all this stuff, a lot of Raptors fans, some pundits as well, were ready to write off Dick. We're ready to say that Grady was not going to be that good, that he just wasn't going to be an impact player in the NBA. Think about that point in Grady's timeline and think about where we are now. Grady Dick has displayed signs of not even just being a good player. He looks like a guy that can be a cornerstone of a rebuild, and that is honestly probably a lot more credit than he would have gotten at a lot of other stages in terms of his development, right? Like, his all-around offensive game in terms of scoring looks so improved. I think the finishing, like the bulking up that he did in the offseason, has really improved his finishing ability, and I think that's tremendous for his all-around offensive package, because you're not just going to be able to, completely just shut down the perimeter shot and just focus on his three-pointers, because he'll hurt you when he goes inside too, and that's a tremendous sign for his all-around growth and his all-around package. And on top of that, like, he's also added just a really good arsenal when it comes to his mid-range scoring, right? Like, some of the shots that he gets off from mid-range, I remember seeing a tweet, I believe it was from Esfandiar on Twitter, saying that, Grady Dick might be the best mid-range scorer that the Raptors have had since Kawhi Leonard, right? Like, since who. Which, naturally, that's not me saying that this guy's going to be on the level of Kawhi. I think that's a ludicrous take and not one that I'll be making today. But I do think he has shown so many encouraging things when it comes to his growth offensively, his growth as a scorer. This is the type of guy that can comfortably, and I mean comfortably, go in there and give you a good supporting role as a scorer. He's going to be a great complement for any lineup that he's in, as with the wide array in which he can score it. I love what I'm seeing from Grady Dick this season. Personally, I think this is a really encouraging sign that at the start of the year, a lot of people looked at this guy and was like, yeah, he's the weak link in the starting lineup, which you can still argue whether or not that's true, although obviously, like, when Quickly has been injured as much as he has, I obviously think it's Davion, although he's been solid for what it's worth as well. But just overall, going from the notion of being the weak link in the starting lineup to the type of scorer that he's been this season, you could not be happier with Grady's development right now, in my opinion. There's one more player here that I'd really like to highlight in particular, because there was times where even I myself was feeling a little out on him, even though I don't believe I ever really said it on camera. But there was times where I was questioning it a little bit, and boy, oh boy, do I feel so wrong in the best possible way. It's Ochai Agbaji, right? Like, man, the difference between what we saw last year from him to what we see this year, again, similar to Grady, you have to love the leap that you've seen, right? His shot looks tremendously better. As a defender, he's very capable. He's showing so much potential in terms of being a consistent, solid role player as a 3-and-D guy. Like, that's really it, right? He has every opportunity to carve a spot out in the rotation for himself for a very long time. And I know some people have made the comparisons to OG Anunoby, and, I don't know how I feel about that one yet, but Ochai Agbaji, God, I've always struggled with his name a little bit. But anyways, Agbaji, he gives you a lot of room to be hopeful that this is a guy that's going to be able to come in off your bench, give you a good 20 minutes a night every night, and you're going to be able to rely on him in that regard. And in moments like the ones that the Raptors have experienced this season, where you have guys gone with injury, he's somebody that can step in, go into the starting lineup, and give you some really good minutes amongst the starters as well, because of, quite frankly, like, how seamlessly he's going to fit into any lineup when he's shooting the ball well and when he's defending well. I love what I've seen from him. I want to be positive, I think, with all these takeaways here, and I think that's such a fun note to leave off on. He has been tremendous in his year 2 leap with the Raptors, and overall, again, I know a lot of people questioned at the time what the Raptors were doing, giving up a first-round pick in the trade to acquire Agbaji. I think you understand why they did it at the time now, where, yeah, this guy, in terms of last year's draft and in terms of him as a prospect and a guy that could still develop, him fulfilling the development part of what he can be in the league is just as good as that first-round pick. So the investment that the Raptors made into that trade is paying off, I think, perfectly. So yeah, that does it for me today, folks. I know I have been tremendously inconsistent with my activity on this page, and I apologize about that. I love doing these videos. I miss this community, and hopefully you've gotten a chance to watch this video. Hopefully you'll drop me some comments, and it's good to be back. I'm going to try my best to be a little more consistent on here. I've got kind of like a lot of hats, or whatever the expression is, that I'm trying to juggle right now. So I'm doing my best. I wanted to carve out some time to do this today because I love what I'm seeing from the Raptors today. Just in general this season. Although I'm sure I'll love what I see from them today. For context, I'm filming this a few hours before they play the Pacers tonight. So love the Raps this year. Love everything that they're doing. I think if you're a Raptors fan, it's hard. It's hard to be upset with how this season has gone. But if you disagree, you can tell me why in the comments section. I just personally think everything that this team is doing, they're trending in the right direction in all of the right ways. And hopefully the season keeps going as it's been. Well, hopefully guys are a little healthier down the stretch, but other than that. All right, folks, end of the video. So usual drill, make sure you're leaving a like on the video if you've watched it this long. Thank you. It really does help the algorithm out a ton. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Other than that, it's been JJ Buckets. It has been a pleasure, and I will see everybody next time.